Hey guys, welcome back. Today we've got another video on my 2004 Volvo XC70 that I've been daily driving for 3 months or 3 years and a month now. I started driving this November 4th of 2020, like during COVID, and we shot a review on it, and we've shot a 15-month daily driving update of what it's like. And I've really liked the car so far, but there's been some things that have kind of cropped up recently that have become issues, and there's been other issues I've had over the course of driving it. So I just want to talk about my experience driving it for 3 years and now over 230,000 miles on it. I didn't put 200,000 of those miles on it, but I put close to 30,000 of them. So we're just gonna start up front, I guess, and I'll just walk around the car and talk about some of the issues and things I've worked on and replaced. So first thing, all cars are gonna do this at 20 years old, but I feel like Volvo's, specifically this one, I've changed a lot of bulbs on it. Like I changed a headlight bulb, changed this headlight on the driver's side bulb, and then if we go to the back, I had to change this blinker bulb, or the brake light right here, but you guys can see that this tail light is cracked, and that's why it keeps on going out. If you can see the crack, it fills up with water in there, and actually one time I literally sucked the water out with a straw, and it was really nasty. Like you open a little panel and then you can like get a straw in there, because I was like, oh, if I get the water out, it'll be good. But it got more water in it and it corroded the bulb. I'll show you guys. This is the little socket. So that's what happened. It got corroded. That was dielectric grease. There was dielectric grease in there, and then also these little bulb prong things kind of got loose. So I bought this one online for like $40. It's a replacement, and then I didn't realize that it was just going to corrode again. Well, I just actually didn't put it in there because I realized, oh, the water is the reason. So I was like, I'm not going to waste this and get it all corroded. So I just have to replace that taillight. I think it's just a couple screws. But I've also replaced a blinker bulb on that side too. We did a video on that too. You just like take a little speaker panel out, like I said. So that's all the bulbs I replaced. Like I said, I think that the Volvos, they use kind of rudimentary connection. That's probably why there's so many issues with them. Another thing is this sunroof. Really early on, this will happen also with most sunroof cars because sunroofs have drains, and to allow the water, because they're not perfectly sealed, and they can get clogged up with like pine needles. As you can see, we live out here like with pine needles and stuff in the Pacific Northwest and park under trees. So I got all clogged up with pine needles, and then my car literally was raining on the inside. It was out. I was in a gym somewhere for like an hour, and then I came out and there was like a huge puddle of water all over my seats and everything. It sucked. But that's just going to happen to most cars with sunroofs if you don't check out the drains. But just make sure you check out the drains. If you roll the sunroof back, I think you can kind of get, I put a little compressor and high pressure air, and I just poked it in there and just blew it out, and it was perfect after that. So watch out for that. That's an issue if you have a sunroof on your car. And then actual mechanical issues, we'll go inside and I'll show you some stuff that right now there's warning lights going on. So I'll hop inside real quick. The interior has held up really well. I'll talk a little bit more about that. But if I turn the car on, it's going to give that little red triangle because I have the door open. But as you guys can see, there's an ABS light, and then that brake light, the parking brake, if I put that down, it went away. But this brake light and the check engine light and ABS light are on currently. And I also get that brake failure, stop safely message. So the brakes, there's nothing wrong actually with the brakes mechanically, and I stopped fine. Probably didn't need to do a brake job within a year, so they're just older, but there's nothing actually wrong mechanically. But there is something wrong with the ABS module, where I believe the soldering inside of it has, due to vibration, cracked, and it's giving that warning light. And I looked it up, and it's like, some things were like, oh, $1,000 to get a replacement one, but sometimes they break because they're just an old one that's used and it's just the same thing, or you can get it specially repaired. So I don't know how to deal with it. It hasn't affected the car at all. I've never had an issue where I was like, oh, I can't drive the car or anything like that. And then the check engine light is due to a vacuum line under the intake manifold, in the engine bay. That has popped, and I saw it a long time ago, and I was going to replace it, but it just gives me a little bit of hard starting issue. So when I crank it, when the car is completely cold, it won't start on the first like crank, and I'll just crank it for like 2 seconds, and then I'll just stop, crank it again, and it starts up like that. But if you just crank it the first time, it won't do anything. Something I think with the not getting enough fuel up there or whatever. But yeah, so there's a vacuum line that's cracked, and then there actually is some stuff I did under the hood. So that's what's giving me the check engine light. And then recently the odometer, it's on right now, so it won't show, but the odometer has stopped working within literally like I was driving out to a relative's for Thanksgiving, and it just stopped working. I don't know why. So I have to check that out, but it's kind of working intermittently. So if I drive the car completely cold in the morning, it works for like a couple miles, and then it'll just turn off, which really sucks because when I was driving, it was like a long trip that was a couple hours, so I was going to use cruise control, but because the odometer stopped working, when I turn on the cruise control, it just does nothing. But then when I drove it, when I came back and the car was sitting for a long time and it worked for about an hour, the odometer, the cruise control worked with it. So something going on with the odometer where it's disabling the cruise control, and then also the odometer is not working correctly, which is a kind of a bummer, because it literally doesn't tell me how many miles I'm putting on the car, and I don't know like when I need to do a maintenance interview. I was going to change the oil pretty soon anyway, so I'm probably just going to change it next time there's some nice weather out, and I can, but I check the oil pretty regularly, so it's okay. But things I've replaced under here, I replaced this motor mount over 200,000. I replaced it at like 210,000 miles. It was completely just destroyed, and I could tell that kind of when I started the car, it had like a slight vibration. I could tell that the engine was moving a little bit due to that motor mount on top. It probably needs motor mounts, and stuff like suspension probably needs to be totally gone through. I bet it hasn't been updated, but probably, yeah, you'll not be able to see, but the vacuum line is under this manifold. That's where the that's cracked open, and is messing with the PCV valve. And then this I noticed a couple weeks ago. I don't even know what that is, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's also part of the PCV system. It comes into the intake manifold as well, but it hasn't affected anything. It just, the little plastic deteriorated. So there's a lot of kind of plastic parts on this car that I can tell are starting to just get tired and break and weaken and crack. I also had to top it off with some coolant recently, but that was like the only time I ever have, and it was literally like down an ounce, like barely, and then it was like low coolant when I just added, and it was already full. So that's really all I've done as far as under the hood. This car did get a transmission. It was replaced right before we bought it, because we saw it, and the transmission, I mean, you're not gonna be able to see it from here, but I went out of the car, and when we bought the car, the transmission was like brand new seals you could see and everything, and it was perfectly clean, and the guy told us that it was replacing it. It definitely was, because it drives very smoothly. The transmission's fine. But I know that that's kind of a common problem with these cars, and that's why it was replaced, was likely transmission failure. There's somebody I know that I work with that said they have problems with like third or fourth gear, it shifting or not wanting to get out of third or fourth gear. So there could be transmission problems, the automatic transmission on these things at this age, so look out for that when you're buying one, or if you're going to look at one, or that's just something to consider. And then other things I have done, I had to replace the AC blower motor, and that's basically the fan that blows all the air through the vents, and that was right after I got it. It literally wouldn't defrost, and I was like, it was just frozen, and I had to like use a rag and everything, and on the inside of my car like this, like driving in the middle of the night when I was working a night shift at a job. But yeah, so the car kind of has some mechanical issues right now as far as warning lights, and seem to be issues that I do need to fix. But it has never left me stranded. There's never been a time where I was like, oh crap, I can't drive the car, I gotta fix it before like, there's never been an issue. The engine has never made a noise at all, like no clunking, no nothing like that. So I feel confident that it is actually quite a reliable vehicle, but kind of all these are kind of a little electrical issues or little plastic parts breaking and stuff. I've also replaced that passenger side window. The window regulator clip broke. That's a really common issue I heard. Super easy though. It was like $3. You put a little thing in the track, and because the window just fell down overnight. Kind of sucked because it was like super cold out and there was like frost in my car. But everything else has held up really nicely, and I will say, out of My friend's cars, I think it's the most comfortable car. It's probably the nicest car in general. It's got nice features. It's got like, there's not a lot of cars at this price point that kind of, I think, have this nice of interior, unless you're like gonna buy like a cheap BMW or something that's also gonna be a basket case that actually will like blow up its cooling system or something. And the all-wheel drive system has been super nice. I actually do feel really confident in the snow with it. I have driven up hills in the snow while I was actively, there was snow on the ground, like on the road everywhere, and I saw like trucks sliding and like sliding off, had already slid off the road, and this thing just troopered up the hill. So I think that the all-wheel drive system is definitely something you should consider if you're looking for like a winter wagon versus like a Subaru or something. It's really awesome. And then I don't really think there's anything really else to say about it as far as how great it is. I mean, it gets about 20 mpg. That's it. At one point I was like at 18.9 for a really long time, or kind of 19, but now I'm up to like 20, mid 20s. And I also started putting just regular gas in it, even though the manual calls for 91. And I know that's not why the check engine thing, it started when I even was putting premium for a long time, but I realized that was just kind of a waste and it wasn't really doing anything, and I get the exact same gas mileage with it. So don't worry about the gas. I mean, if you want to pay for the nicer gas, you can. But I guess looking back 3 years later, would I buy this car again knowing what it's like? Absolutely. It has been pretty economical. Now, there are issues with any old car that are going to crop up, and this one has had issues. And also, like, a big job that needs to be taken care of is the timing belt. So that's like car to car though, so depends on which one you're buying. Maybe it had the timing belt recently or later or a long time ago, but I would definitely buy it again, or I would definitely want to continue driving it right now. It's been kind of a tank, and it's also very, very convenient having a wagon, throwing bikes in the back, dogs, whatever, golf bags, all kinds of stuff. So it's definitely a super all-arounder vehicle, and I would definitely recommend it as a daily driver. Just watch out for those electrical issues, the transmission issues, and then I would say the PCV system, which is all the vacuum lines and stuff. I know that can actually, I mean, mine's kind of a problem right now, but it can actually cause it to just not want to start at all. So yeah, check out our other Volvo videos. We go over the inside and actually the features and everything, and how nice it is, and all the specs of the engine and how fast it is and everything. So check out those other videos, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe.